Hey there. Happy Wednesday out there, everyone. I've got my very special guest, abundance and alignment coach, Dani Fryer. We're really
Mhm.
excited to be here today. We're going to be talking about discovering how to attract, identify, and build leaders. And I just know that you're going to love what Dani has to share. Her and I have been good friends for quite a while now. And yeah, we're really kind of looking forward to sharing some good things with you today. I want to just take a moment before I turn it over to Dani for a minute. I'd love to just know where you're tuning in from. So take a minute and let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. And yeah, Dani, gosh, give us just a little bit of background on you. Tell us a little bit about what you're up to and, what you got going on, girl.
Yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm so excited to be here. Like you said, we've gotten to really know each other so well over the past couple of years. And I just consider you even like not just a friend, but someone I can go to for mentorship. So I think your community here, this group that you've built, like, I don't even know if they know how blessed they are to have you here. So just
Wow.
saying.
And you know what? I feel the same way because I know you and I both, gosh, that is one of the things I love about network marketing. Like I invested, which Dani and I are going to actually talk about this. I invested in myself so that I could give back more to others, as Dani and her husband did. And we actually got to meet in person in Dubai and experience some amazing like life together and just
Yeah.
really enjoy each other. Of course, we met before and we had a ongoing relationship on Zoom and Voxer, but
Mhm.
gosh, meeting in person was so cool. And yeah,
Uh-huh.
and we've
Yeah.
actually even got some secret things in store, right?
I know. So excited. We'll chat. I think maybe we can give some little like not tips. What am I trying to say? Like maybe a little insider secret towards the end.
We're at the end, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell everybody, Dani, a little bit about you. And I know that you've been in the industry for quite a while. You and
Mhm.
Brian were in the field,
Yep.
and then you guys took to your coaching business. And
Mhm.
boy, you and Brian are one of the top coaches, I believe, in the industry. And you just continue to do amazing things to serve people. And one of the things that attracted me to you guys is your heart for people.
Yeah.
And just that service. So tell the group a little bit about what you do
Yeah.
individually as well.
Yeah. So our background, I guess it kind of is both. It's like there's Brian and I.
Yeah.
I'm sure some of the people here follow my husband, Brian Fryer, Coach Fryer.
Right.
A lot of Brian, cannot talk today. A lot of Brian's followers often refer to me as Mrs. Coach.
Yeah.
But if you're actually looking for me, I actually just recently switched it to Danielle Fryer. You won't find me as Mrs. Coach online anywhere.
Yeah.
But where that comes from is, yes, Brian and I worked in the field together. Gosh, that was like 7 years ago, maybe that was when we stopped. So really we got started in network marketing back when, well, my oldest, her birthday, she turned 14 today, and she was an infant, like she was little. So
Yeah.
it's been like 14 years since we first entered in. So we've definitely been around the block. We've seen a lot of things.
Right.
But our first several years, we had like no success. I mean, my husband always says it best. Like, we were the people sitting in the very back of the room, like quiet, shy, did not know anybody because we couldn't even like get people to come with us. So then we went on to be number 4 earners in the company we ended with.
Right.
The last company we were with. And the reason for that was because we learned, how to listen to ourselves and do what felt right versus doing the things that just didn't feel in alignment with us. So we've gone on to that company, unfortunately, closed its doors. And we were faced with a fork in the road where we had to decide, do we join another company or do we coach? Because we actually had people coming to us that wanted coaching that we had been turning away for months because
Yeah.
we just did not have the capacity to do it. So we only coached people that were on our team.
Mhm.
Whereas when our company closed, we were like, you know what, let's not join a company because we really wanted that transparency.
Mhm.
We didn't want that. I don't know. It was just like,
Right.
we just
You
want,
just
we were like, let's just do it one way.
right.
And so we did. Really, Brian was forward facing in that because I was pregnant with our my 7-year-old at the
Uh-huh.
time, and so at that point I still had a lot of little kids in
Yeah.
the house, and I did a lot of the background stuff. So that's what a lot of people don't realize if they follow Brian is they see him, but
Mhm.
I have done a lot in the background. I've put
Right.
together a lot of his trainings. I handle all of our, business finances. I help make a ton of decisions.
Wow.
And we do everything together, and Brian delivers everything.
Mhm.
So I love it that way. I love kind of being in the cave, like where I can just kind of be and do my thing. But more recently, over the past couple of years, I've decided to step into what I really love doing, and that is being an intuitive mentor. I'm what's the right formally? What's the word? Not
For
formally.
yeah, no, like formerly. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Formally.
Prior.
Formally, that's what I'm
Form
trying to say. Formally
formerly.
trained in Reiki. So I do have an angel Reiki specifically. So I have energy healing training that I have done, and I've just really expanded and dove into that over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And it has led me to really love working with people on more so that, alignment in terms of like what it is that they're doing,
Mhm.
abundance, and what does that mean? Like, what does that look like for you? Because it's not the same for everybody.
Right.
So, yeah. And so that is like one of my favorite things to do. I've gotten to the point where I love talking about money,
Mhm.
and how to really magnetize yourself to, money and wealth and those things. But the one thing I would say that kind of separates me from a lot of other people that talk about those things is I always teach from the place of things being subjective. What I believe is wealth and like a rich life is going to
Right.
be very different from what you believe and what someone, there could be 10 of us in a room, and one person might want to live in an RV and travel the US, and they're like happy to live on $30,000 a year, and
Right.
they love that lifestyle, and that's a very rich life to them. Someone else might want to make multi-millions,
Right.
and there's no wrong or right answer. So when I decided the alignment and abundance, because that just felt like it really encompasses what it is that I specifically teach.
Mhm.
And then when Brian and I coach together, we kind of, I do the mindset side, and he's like the business
Yeah.
tactical guy.
He's a
I
smart
can take
guy.
someone and be like, what are your ideas? Like, let's get it all put in a nice little package. And then we give it to Brian, and he can help them launch it, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I can again because you and I have a history of in our relationship, what I also observe of you and Brian is you both have highly gifted skill sets, but they're very different. And that's
Right.
what I think makes what you guys do so beautiful and also really all encompassing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got all that, like you said, the intuitive stuff and if you will, sometimes that can feel a little more feminine, where we're getting
Yes.
more in touch with our emotions and that kind of thing. And Brian is definitely a guy's guy and skills and one, two, threes and I
Yeah.
think the blend of what you both do, well, I mean, it's phenomenal. And I know that people in the industry, I mean, you guys are changing lives every single day. And what you guys didn't see, and Brian popped on here real quick just to say hi before he was headed out, was, he just got back from a really cool speaking engagement and, just able to impact again hundreds and thousands. And what I think most people don't realize is that you never know who in the group, in the crowd, wherever you are, needs to hear you.
Yeah.
And it often isn't what you think they need to hear. I've found
Right.
that many times myself. So
Mhm.
thank you, Dani, for what you bring to the industry, but to the world. And I love you. So, all right, let's get started on our topic. So, guys, today we're going to talk, like I said, about how to attract, how to identify, and how to build leaders. So, I know Dani is going to have a lot to share on attracting. I want to just kind of kick us off by just, there isn't a person out there who wouldn't love to have a skilled, quality leader on their team. I mean, come on. Somebody that has experience, somebody that has a track record of winning, somebody that, can make things happen, somebody that doesn't need babysitting and a lot of, the real, what I would call the real deep beginnings of well, that's not the right word. The real beginnings of, leadership skills.
Yeah.
And often, I just did last week that your rank in a company doesn't make you a leader. Your rank doesn't define your ability to lead. But what does define your ability to lead is who you are, right? And what you've personally developed in your leadership skills. And that really is going to bring me to talking about attracting people to you. I can go back. I've been in the industry since 2001. And for those of you that have never met me, my name's Joan Robinson. I didn't even say this. We are 11 minutes in and I'm like, rah. But, and now today I help network marketing women ignite their own inner brilliance so they can attract and develop leaders. And what I want to just say on that is in the beginning, boy, my fears were right down to, in those days, picking up the phone. I was used to people coming to me when I worked at Nordstrom, people came into my department and it was like, geez, I'm going to have to get a lead list and call these folks. I mean, that was a really old school way of doing it.
Yeah.
And, now things have changed a little bit we hear all about attraction marketing and, social selling, and you don't have to have the, 100-person lead list per se, but there are still things that attract people to you, and they attract to you like a magnet. I want to say one thing. We can't attract to us what we don't have. And so when thinking in terms of attracting people to you, Dani, what are some of the things that come to mind to you?
So whenever people talk about this and attracting people to them, attracting their, whether it's attracting leaders or attracting customers, or you said a word and I'm like, oh, you hear that so often. But what I always think of it as is sometimes it helps if you even change the way you think about it, right? Because sometimes when we hear things in the same manner all the time, it almost takes away the emotion out of it. Mm-hmm. So how does it feel if you say like my dream client or a dream leader, or what I identify with is like soulmate clients, your soulmate clients, like that elicits an emotional response in my body. I'm like excited to get up and work if I'm looking for my soulmate client versus like just attracting an ideal client. Like, okay, ideal is cool, but like soulmate's way better.
Right.
So that's the first thing, is anything you can do to like elicit that emotion in your body.
And you know what? Because you said that, this is, I'm actually teaching a sponsoring training tonight to a company. And one of the very first things that I have people do is write out that list. So in Dani's words, your soul client, that perfect client for you. What do you know who that is? Do you have a list of characteristics? Often people don't really realize some of the simplest things to do, like make a list and get clarity brings forth more of what you want.
Yeah.
So Dani, give them a little bit more direction about how to attract that soul client, let's say.
Yeah. So I love that you said magnetize, because that is always what I say. Like magnetizing yourself and giving yourself that visual. Yeah. Like this is where you are. and this is what, let's call it the desired end result.
Right.
And the first, if I were to break it down into 3 steps, it's like, first of all, you have to have clarity. You have to know exactly what it is you want. Otherwise, you're going to have other stuff come into that magnet that you do not want. And it's going to be hard to get rid of. And you're going to pull things into, I always say your reality, but your life. You're going to pull things into your life, whether you are aware of it or not. Mm-hmm. So that's usually the first thing I teach people is like, you might as well be aware of what it is you're bringing into your life, because how much could that change if you became aware and then had clarity about what you actually wanted and were doing things with intention.
Right.
And I know that word gets thrown around so much, but truly it is like the basis of everything we do. We set intentions whether we realize we're setting intentions or not. If you wake up and are like in a crappy mood, I don't know if you cuss on your stuff. I typically kind of have a little bit of a potty mouth. So I said, crappy mood, but really what I wanted to say was if you wake up in a shitty mood and you're, like just gonna let that dictate your entire day.
Right.
You might not have woke up with the intention of doing that, but you ultimately you set the intention by choosing not to go in a different direction.
Right. And that is what I think is so powerful about understanding the attraction piece.
Yeah.
To anything, guys. This doesn't have to be business. It's anything. And sometimes when we're in the emotion of the to-dos of the day, and you get waylaid, maybe you're running late, your kids something, threw things off, we start then carrying these other energies. Like I love that you said that, you pick up things that you didn't really intend to.
Yeah.
So all the more reason why we need to be, and you use the word intention. I'm going to even go to another word choice that they could think of as laser focused.
Yeah.
Right. Like almost like how they do with the horse, right? They put those blinders so that they're not getting distracted and wandering off course.
Yeah.
So a lot of different things come to mind to me too when I think of attracting, because like I mentioned at the beginning, when I started my business, I was in fear. So I wasn't really attracting abundance. I wasn't attracting, some of those qualities like experience and a self-starter. It wasn't in it wasn't clear in my vision. Now, if someone would have taken me aside and said, gosh, would you want a really strong leader on your team? My first response probably would have been, well, I don't really know what to do with them. So not yet. I mean, that's what a lot of people think. I'm not quite ready yet. But attracting people to you has really to do, in my opinion, with you making a list first. What is it that you want? Because often you are either the list or you're on your way to become it.
And I would love to interject right there, because that was actually going to be the next thing I was going to say was you have to, it's mostly women in your group, right?
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to be her now. That's one thing I say on trainings all the time.
Yep.
Being her now. Like you cannot expect to attract high-level leaders if you are not willing to step into and embody the person that you see yourself when you're having the success that you want to have. Right. So if you are the type of person when you're making, I always call it either your 6-figure self or your millionaire identity, whatever one, jives with you.
Right.
Who is that person for you? Like you have to identify your leaders and what you want from your soulmate clients, but you also have to decide who are you? Because I would actually argue that most people are wandering around and don't even have a clue who they even want to be.
Right.
You are not going to attract leaders and quality people into your business if you don't even know who you are. Right. So sometimes you have to even take a step back and take a few days to really decide, okay, who am I in that space? What kind of decisions, if I'm thinking about myself as a millionaire earner, What
Mm-hmm.
kind of decisions am I making on a daily basis that
That
I
support,
can make today?
right.
And I'm not saying go put yourself in debt and go start shopping at, Chanel
Yeah,
and Louis Vuitton
right,
just to try and look good. Like,
right,
if you have the means and that's part of your vision, then by all means, go for it. But you can do things now. Like, I can make decisions about boundaries in my life, and I can make decisions to set a schedule, and I can decide who I want to connect with, and I can also decide how I want to present myself.
yes,
When you're choosing to live from a place of like embodying who it is you are at your core, you're not acting. It's
no,
not a fake it till you make it. It's like you actually choosing to kind of shed the walls that you've put up for society and
yeah,
actually step into and allow like that inside of you. You call it inner brilliance.
yeah,
Allowing that inner brilliance, that's who you are at a soul level, and allowing that to shine and step into that, because guess what? That's sexy. And
right,
people, and I don't mean men, I just mean like in general, like leaders, people that are looking for success, people that want to build and want those same qualities that you're looking for, they're going to magnetize to that. That's
yes,
how that's how you attract. That's how you magnetize. You don't magnetize by sitting back and saying, I'll get there in a few years.
right.
You have to make the decision to put the shoes on today.
Right. And I'm just, first off, I love what you're sharing. And I resonate obviously so much with this because I've gone through a lot of different things in my life that made me realize, you know, I now know what I really don't want, or even who I don't want to be.
Yeah.
But it's living in that alignment
Right.
of who it is that I'm becoming. Because, guys, we're becoming every day, just a
Yeah.
little bit more, just a little bit more. And I love that you said that. We're stepping into, we're igniting that part that it's already there. That's why you desire it. And I think that's what a lot of people don't realize. And they think they're faking it till they make it. No, if you have a strong desire right here, I believe it's been placed there. And however you believe, but I'll just say I believe that you were designed individually and you chose that. You chose that heart, right? I mean, in other words, God put those desires there. So as long as they're pure desire out and all those
Right.
kinds of icky things, why not give yourself permission to be who you really want to be, right? Yeah. And as you continue to define that with clarity, with purpose, with intention, with focus, you're going to see, you're going to look one day and go, I am that gal, or I
Mm-hmm.
am that guy.
Yep.
So yeah. So, I mean, first things first, get a list going. Got to have clarity. And I'm going to say one last thing. There's even people listening right now. You're extremely, focused on a skill, or, I'm going to recruit, or I'm going to make a sale, or I'm going to get more customers. I'm going to follow up. But let me ask you this, and it's challenging you. Have you taken the time to define what it is that you want to attract?
Yeah.
Have you done that? Because I will guarantee you, 90% of the people I work with have not done that before. And a lot of them are experienced in a lot of different things. They just don't think it's that important.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of what you're building,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
100%. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, let's move on to identify. So let's say, that we've got a whole lot of people in our team. So let's talk about that. People are in our team, and there's some specific ways to identify. I'm going to share a couple things skill set wise, and Dani, maybe you could share some other things, like that it would be more from the heart end and whatnot. So, for me, often you can go to your back office, you can look at numbers, you can look at trends, you can look at the past 90 days. I mean, I think many back offices go from the history of when someone signed up. You can tell a lot by the numbers. It will show you, different personality types. You can tell when someone got really excited. You could tell if they backed off, right? By their sponsoring numbers, by their sales numbers. Some other things that you can really look at to measure. I'm looking to see go-getters. Are they the ones that want to participate and, help you out? Hey, Joan, I'm happy to help you anytime you need help on a Zoom. Or what about this? I want to learn how to blah, blah, blah. I mean, these are things that, hey, you got leaders right in front of you. And the real question is, how are you working with them? Dani, what are some of the other things that come to mind for you when it comes to identifying?
Yeah. So the biggest thing we did was like what you said. We would always find the fire. Where's the fire? Because we want to stoke the flame. Like that was one of the biggest ways that we built was just looking for people that were doing the work. And this, I'm not talking like we were looking for someone that was signing up a ton of people. We were looking for someone that was consistently doing what it took to build their business, but also were following instruction on how to develop their people. And then they were continuing to sponsor. So they might have only sponsored one or two people, but they were the ones that called us and were like, hey, I just signed someone up. Can you help me do an onboarding? We did Google Meets back then. Can we get on a Google Meet and can you help us onboard this person? Like that's bam. I don't care if that's the first person they've signed up. They're already identifying themselves because they're not trying to do it all. A good leader will not try and do everything themselves. They will plug into the systems and they will do what works and they're coachable.
Okay, I'm so glad you just said that because that was going to be what comes out of my mouth. I look for two qualities. And by the way, these are two qualities that are on my very own list of who I want to attract, who I want to partner with. I got to have somebody that's coachable. If they're not coachable, guys, that means they're not open to learning.
Right.
They're not, they're just, they've got tunnel vision for the way they're doing it. We've all been in situations like that where it's kind of like it's their way or the highway. Well, we all have success plans in our companies, or there's a way to do business that we don't have to reinvent the wheel. Right. So I really like that you shared that. If they're coachable, that's that's got to be that. And then the second thing that comes to mind is it's desire and willingness. If those two things, desire, willingness, they're kind of the same, but really strong desire and coachable. If those aren't there, then they're not going to be somebody that would be, a lead that you would want to partner with as a leader and support in that way.
Yeah.
I know, gosh, you and we could just go on and we could probably do a 2-hour thing and all that stuff. I want to move though to really building leaders. And, building leaders takes time. And in this age of robots and, all the different tools and systems and, send them to a system and, it's all laid out for you. You'll get it all, Susie Q right over there. Click on that link and you've got it. Well, guys, I am going to tell you this. Leaders are not developed through systems. Leaders can use systems, and there isn't a leader I know that's not killing it that isn't using systems. But when you're talking about developing people, it's relational. Okay. It can't be done through text message, and it can't be done, here, go to my system and you've got it all. There has to be relationship, interaction. And that's really what Dani and I both stand for. Is it doesn't mean we have to have hours and hours and hours of long Zooms. This is why you want to get really good at really identifying who is it that you're going to work with. Because if you can get, and again, it's really according to your company comp plan. If you're, moving up the ranks, and we're speaking right now to network marketing, women, men, those kinds of folks, you've got to be strategic as well. So we're going to use our heart, but we got to use our head. It doesn't mean you don't like people, but you're in business, right? Yeah. Business is business, and not every person you're going to treat the same. So once you identify those people, it should be maybe it's going to be starting with one. It could go maybe up to 3, but not really much more than that. You're not developing 6 and 8 and 10 people
right
the same, right, Dani?
Totally.
I mean,
it's really difficult to try and do that. And I will say one of the biggest things, one of the biggest mistakes I see, well, I say that like I'm doing it now, but one of the biggest mistakes, we always saw when we were working and developing leaders was we would ask someone before we would even get on a call with them, because, people sign someone up and they're all excited and they, they're like, oh, or they're frustrated. Oh, I signed this person up 3 months ago and, they've only done this, this, and this, and I just wish they would do more. And the first question would be, well, what are their goals? Well, what do you mean, what are their goals? They signed up. And we're like, but what are their goals in business? Do they just want free product, or are they trying to make 6 figures?
Right.
Well, I don't know.
Right.
So that was one of the things we taught all of our
everybody
our distributors was, that is the first thing. You get them on an onboarding Zoom and you find out what are their goals, because that's another way of kind of deciding who it is that you need to put your focus with. If you have someone that is like, I just want free product. So if I can get free product, I'm happy. Okay, cool. You can plug into webinars and the group stuff that we do. You don't necessarily need coaching in a leadership sense. And those people are totally happy because they don't want to anyways.
Right.
Versus if someone says, you know what, I want to retire from my job in the next 5 years. Okay, we need to talk again. Like we need to do another, we need to go deeper on that.
Right. It's a whole different deal. I'm glad you brought that up. There's one thing when I sit down to go over goals with people that I do very first. It's going to sound, guys, so like it's just right in front of you. And it's like, gosh, I didn't really think of it that way, but I couldn't agree with Dani more. I've done, I've been in the field in 4 different companies. I've also been out of the field and done just consulting, coaching, speaking. But I'll tell you what, you've got to know what somebody wants. That is the question. The very first thing is I'd be like, hey, nice to meet you, Susie Q. Tell me, what is it that you want to accomplish? What is it? Because then once I know they want to pay off their bills, they want to, go to Europe this summer, they want to retire their husband or their wife, or, they want to make 6 figures. Once I know that, then I can actually, like Dani said, go, okay, this person is going to require a different strategy than the person that is going to be just a product user, and we love them all.
Yeah.
Your only time, guys, that you're going to be beating your head against the wall is when you're trying to get somebody to do something they don't want to do.
Absolutely.
And it is absolutely what Dani said, because the leader either didn't know. I mean, I'm saying leader because they got even one person, you're now leading that person, right? Mm-hmm. They either didn't know how to do this, right? Or they signed them up and they kind of thought, well, they'll tell me, but they didn't ask the question.
Correct.
Right? Which is, honestly, I don't want to make this about my coaching course, but that is what my coaching course is about. Really taking some of those fundamentals and communicating and connecting with people so that you do understand who they want, so that you never have to feel awkward to reach out either via text or a phone call, right? So, okay, Dani, we're about out of time today. And Gosh, as I'm looking down here, if this resonated with anybody that's listening in, gosh, drop us a heart in the comments. And Dani, in our kind of just closing as we just wrap up today, what else do you want to share with the group before we wrap up and cruise on for our day?
Yeah. The last thing I want to, I guess, leave everybody with, tip wise, is the best thing you can do is lead with your intuition. Listen to yourself, right? Because you can learn all of these things, you can learn all of these skills, but if you're doing them out of alignment with what you feel like you should be doing, you're going to implode whether you're doing everything right or not. That's the first thing. So the number one way to motivate yourself in the morning is to just ask yourself, how can I take inspired but imperfect action today? What are the things I can do? And you can do all of those things we talked about within that, but do it in a way that is inspiring to you, that feels right to you. So that is what I guess, if there's anything I've learned from watching other people, it is that you can do all the right things. You can know all the top people. You can have all the skills. You can come from $1 million business in the brick and mortar world. Yeah. And it still won't go right if you're not doing things in alignment with yourself. And the second thing is learn to love money.
Yeah.
Learn to love talking about money, because if you are constantly in a state of being uncomfortable with money, you are not going to attract it to yourself. So those would be my last 2 take-home tips. If there's any gold nuggets you leave with, it would be those 2. And then the last thing is taking care of yourself, right? Someone used the example that I know Joan and you and I both talked about this, of plugs getting plugged into a surge protector and then more plugs on top of that. And we implode if we do that. It's like all the tabs in the window being open. So I'm not going to share what these details are, but Joan and I may or may not, wink, wink, be coming up with something right now as a collaboration that is actually in that type of space. More of that healing space, that calming space than it is an in-your-face business coaching. I know we have been literally, y'all, on the phone like once a week planning this out. And we're both having a ton of fun because it is something that is really in our wheelhouse and that we both feel very, very passionately about. And also is not in our space right now. So I'm very excited about that. And, you know, Joan can touch on this if she wants to, but I was just going to say, you know, reach out to one of us. If that is something that you want us to kind of pencil you in on our little wait list when we announce that. Because this is not gimmicky, but it truly is going to be there will be limited. We will be limited in how many people we can actually bring into this first one. So
awesome. Well, again, Dani, I want to thank you for joining me today. As always, I love partnering with you on anything. We've had a ball, and guys, that's what it's all about. She talked about your passion, and you know, really, it's just the desire of your heart, really. I mean, that's a really easy way to say it. What do you really want? What do you want to do? What lights you up? And do your best to continue to gain clarity there. It's going to come.
Yeah.
Dani, thanks for having us. By the way, guys, for those of you that, if you're watching and you have not yet joined Flip the Switch community, go ahead and copy the link. The link will be in the comments, as well as going across the screen here. Join my community. You're going to see more leader trainings, more exclusive invites to, different, again, trainings, different courses, all different kinds of things as I continue to expand my brand. And Dani, thank you again for being here.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Have a happy Wednesday out there. We'll see ya.
Bye, guys.